All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. Hope everyone can hear me okay. Uh, wasn't having much luck with sound yesterday, so hopefully I'm coming through loud and clear. Welcome to our today's webinar, version 18 directory templates. We're going to be working together till about 20 after, getting started about a minute late here. But it should be hopefully a fairly quick topic here today. Okay, so this was kind of a unique webinar. We're getting ready to release version 18 for Church Windows here soon. I mean, gradually over the course of the next few weeks, couple months probably. All of you will be getting that if you're on support at some point. The templates, it's one of the things I want to explain about it is that they're not really new templates in terms of, like our multi-column directories that we're used to seeing in membership. What we've done though is we've added some information that and some fields to the directories that will assist users with regards to creating and adding additional fields and information to those directories. And they're going to be created and given different names, and I'm going to show you what those are. So just by way of explanation of how these files are going to be installed for you is that these templates will be automatically installed for all users who install SR1 for version 18 when that comes out. So that means you will have to have installed an earlier version of 18 at some point to install the SR1, of course, and at which point those will be installed. You do not need to have or wait to have version 18 installed in order to get these templates that we're going to show you a little about today. Okay. If you're interested in getting these templates in advance of version 18 SR1 coming out, we're going to ask that you send a reply to the follow-up email to today's webinar and let us know that you would like those, and then we are organizing instructions in a file that will send those to you with instructions for how to get those installed before the version 18 is released and subsequently installed for you. So you do not have to wait for SR1 or version 18 to be installed in order to get these templates. However, SR1 for version 18 will install them automatically for all Church Windows users who have version 18 installed. Okay? So hopefully that was clear for folks. Again, just send an email, a response email to the follow-up email you're going to get for the webinar today. From the webinar today, and let us know that you would like those with the instructions in advance. All right, so when we go to reports in version 18, it's essentially the same in version 17 now. When we go to reports, and we're going to go to reports directory export, and this is our who we're wanting to include on our directory. The system looks at include on directory report order automatically. We're not going to choose anything here. We're simply going to click Next. And this opens up our step 2 select the report layouts or selections for membership reports. And we notice here, let me introduce my highlighter friend here. Notice we have marked the radio button next to directory right up here at the very top, telling the system we are wanting to work with our directory templates or directory reports. Okay. Now when we click the down arrow here, we've got you'll see all of the ones up here that we're traditionally used to seeing, called things like classic horizontal, classic multi-column, classic 3-column, directory for booklet printing, horizontal picture. But now we're going to notice that when those are installed that we're going to see some additional ones listed here. Specifically one like here called multi-column directory with additional. And then when we choose that, it actually says multi-column directory right there. Notice when I put my cursor over that, it'll pop up with the actual name of the template that we're looking at. In this case, it's called multi-column directory with additional fields. So it doesn't necessarily pertain to specific information. It just says with additional information. And I'm going to show you a little more about how this works momentarily. Okay. The problem the hurdle that users have been running into in these new, the most common ones that we're getting through support are How do I add email to the directory? How do I add cell phone numbers to the directory? And so we've been trying to instruct folks through those, through movies and documents at our website. But folks are still struggling with it. So what we've been trying to do is trying to be able to find some ways to try to be able to help you simplify this process. And we believe that these additional directory templates are going to do just that. So right here we see one called multi-column directory with cell and then when we click at it and we float over it, or it says with cell phone and email. The multi-column directory in that case is a 2-column directory. Many of you are using, when we scroll down now, see we've got ones here now called 3-column directory with additional information, or with child section, or with email and cell phone. Okay, so many of you are printing the 3-column directory or the 2-column directory, but what I'm going to show you on one of them is essentially done the same for all of them. Okay, so if we choose, say, 3-column directory with email and cell phone, it now populates that in our menu there, and we simply go to the right to our edit button. Okay, then we take, it takes a few seconds here, but then eventually it does open our report designer with our layout of our directory. And the section that we're adding to these templates for you is right down here below alternate phone, where it now shows cell phone and email. Now, the work isn't done for you, okay? Isn't completed for you. There is some work that you as the user of the software has to do in order to complete this and make it add those, okay? And the reason why we can only do part of it is because your email and cell phone fields are unique to your particular database and are not constructed by Church Windows. They're not fixed or hard-coded fields. They're user-level created fields, okay? And so we can't go in there and tell the system, okay, we want the system, want the template to go in and look for this particular email address field because we don't know what you've named your field, okay, for cell phone or email. It could be different for all of you. Okay, so what we can do is we can put in certain information that will help get this identified and formatted on your directory, but what I'm going to show you now is the work that you have to still do after you've gotten these new templates installed. So notice down here in the lower left we've got cell phone, cell, email. So what we've said is these will now appear for the people, the primary and secondary in your households, okay? So the work you still have to do is you have to go down here to the lower right to our data controls here in the lower right and still pick up the membership fields and drag them over and drop them into the spaces or places where they belong and tell the system who they belong to. Okay, so like I said, there's still a little work that has to be done. But this is really a very straightforward process. You don't have to add the field connectors anymore. You don't have to do the personalized label if you don't want to. You just have to add the cell phone fields and identify them for who they belong to. Okay, and we're going to walk through that. So we pick up membership field and we drag it over and we drop it there up on the top line next to our first cell phone field. Then it opens up our traditional pick a membership field. So we then have to choose here what membership field this is, and of course based on our label it's going to be for cell phone. And cell phone now, when we scroll down and click on the plus sign next to our personal information fields, the list expands, we scroll down, and here is our cell phone field right there in the middle. So we click on that and click OK, and now it says cell phone. We're still not done. We're going to have to do the same thing for these other remaining fields. So same thing, I'm going to go down here, we're going to click personal information, scroll down, choose cell phone, click OK. Now we're going to do our email address fields, so we drag them over there. These are a little bit different in the sense that I'll show you here in a moment. We do personal information field, scroll down and choose email address. Now how these are different is an email field is much longer than the cell phone field. So once we choose email, notice it still shows red or magenta where we're seeing that. And that's because when we click on that now, notice how the email address field is now moved over or overlapping into our space for repeating columns. We don't want to have that, okay? So we have to drag the right end of that field over there so it now falls into our field connector and the red disappears. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing for our email address field for our secondary. Again, scrolling down and choosing email. So the real time saver is here. You don't have to add your field connectors or your personalized labels anymore, but you do have to add the fields that you're wanting to, what the information fields you're wanting, and you're having to identify them. So we've now added our cell phone fields and our email address fields to the actual layout. Now what we have to do, and this is the very last step, is we now have to click on each one of those. So first cell phone field, we click on there, selected individual, perfect. That's for the primary in the household. We now click under the second one, and we click under this one for family member. We change that to spouse or partner of individual and click off that, because now if we go over to the personalized label on the right and we click on that, notice it says for family member, spouse, or partner of individual. So we have to make sure that these actual information fields match that same one, those same people. So again, selected individual, perfect, and then we go over to email address and we have to change this one to spouse or partner of selected individual. Okay. So we can toggle now down to our preview button down here, and this should allow us to pop up and create basically training information that we've included here that now does say, like under Cindy Altoff here at the very top, Cindy's cell, Cindy's email, and it does the same thing for each of our primaries and our secondaries in each one of our households. Okay, and that's it. So no more having to add the field connector or the entering the personalized labels. You just have to move over the desired membership fields, identify those, and tell them who they belong to in your household, and your work is done. Making sure that they fit in the field connector, of course. So now we would go up here and we would then save this. We would want to give it a different name. Call it my 3-column directory, or church 3-column directory with email, because these will again be hard coded in there and you won't be able to overwrite them. And now when we click OK and we close out of the report preview, it now defaults to that. And now when I click on print down here in the lower right, it opens up with real information that we would have in our database here. We might have to go in and omit some of that information. Sorry, I've overlooked that. We're going to bring this up and just take a quick look at it here. Yeah, so here we do have to go in here and go, okay, omit if cell phone for the selected individual is empty, or for spouse or partner is empty. We might have to go in and look at some of these templates again. Yes, this one isn't checked here for spouse or cell or cell phone for those. So sorry, we'll get those fixed before we make those distributable for you. Or we want email for selected individual. Further down the list, because we don't want those empty fields. If they don't have a cell phone or email address, we don't want those to continue to show up. And so that should be our final fix for this. So again, we would save it, click yes, close. Now when we click print, yeah, so now we don't have just folks that are sitting, that are on the report here that have cell phone or email that just says cell or email without an actual number or email address after it. So that's the one thing I'll have to tweak that as part of that, as part of those files. But that's it. Again, you don't have to deal with any of that other stuff. Okay. So an example of where we might want to do something like with additional information. Again, the folks seem to be getting hung up on the field connector and the personalized labels. So a good example of something like a 3-column directory with additional information would be if we were, like, say, wanting to add our birth dates to our email address or to our directory. So here it just says personalized label. So here you would have to come up here and say, okay, I want, say, birth date or birthday, as the case may be. Okay, so it says Bob's birthday or Sally's birthday. See, so it all depends on what additional information field information you want to include on your directory. So we can't, unfortunately, put in those, additional labels here in the text that's in them until we determine what is it that we're including on the report. Make sense? So again, we can add the personalized label fields, but we can't tell the system what they are or what the text should be to identify them until we actually add the additional information. So we're going to just make this birthday. I'm having trouble typing today. And so same thing, we would have to go over to our membership field, drag it over, go down to our personal information fields, scroll down and choose birthday, click OK. Notice our magenta goes away because it fits within the field connector, and so we would simply continue this process ad nauseum until we'd entered them appropriately. Basically, I'm just using birth date. It can be anything you want, folks. It doesn't have to be birthday. It could be anything. But same thing, you do have to go in and identify whose birthday this is for. So notice even under our labels, it's got selected individual. And we could go, spouse or partner of selected individual for the next one. And then, maybe we could do children of selected individual. We probably don't need all of these here. But then we also do have to go through each one of them and identify it for the actual birth date field itself. Okay, the system we don't need to omit because those will automatically be based on that. But you do have to do the omit for if there is no birth date empty. So we again have tried to save a little bit of work here for you by entering these. There it is, birth date for spouse or partner of selected individual. And then finally, the birth date for children of selected individual. So same thing, we can go down here and it shows our birth dates down here. Okay. Again, let us know in responding to the email you get today if you would like some of these templates or like these templates sent to you and automatically installed in your current version. And we'll be happy to get those out once we have the document and the file formatted for you with instructions for how to get those installed. And then we'll be happy to get those out. We'll have those, should have that available between now and the end of this week. So that would be Friday, and we'll get those out to you as quickly as we can. One of the questions that we have is the different size and orientation of the paper. Well, that is included here under our statement designer or report designer here. If we go up here, we see this double arrows. It says detail multi-column setup and paper size and orientation. It's right up here in the upper right corner. It's that little wrench icon right up there. So if you go to the report designer up here, you can change that there. So if we click on that, it says it defaults to portrait or landscape. And that's, again, this is just the orientation of the report designer and how it's displayed. So if you want to change that, you have to go to this report size orientation, click OK, choose the appropriate landscape or paper orientation, and of course your paper kind as well in order to change that, and click OK in order to change that. But that's going to change how this is displayed. So you probably will have to reformat your layout of your directory. So that could create quite a bit of work. So, make sure that if you do change that you are prepared to perhaps be adding a fair amount of work to that, because you would have to change that. If I go ahead and change this, well, I wanted to toggle back to the designer tab real quick. But if I go up here and change that, and I change it to landscape, it's reconfiguring it. So again, this might be really good for a 3-column directory, but now notice there's space for repeating columns, and the page is now in a landscape orientation. Okay, so we'd have to go down here to the preview in our lower right and see how our current format works. Okay, it would work fine for a 3-column directory for sure. There is some, looks like there might be some room to either add an additional column, or we might be able to widen out some of our fields. But sure, it looks like that takes care of that nicely for us. But yeah, sure, we'd have to go up to save as and then save our directory here, or whatever our report is with the new layout or with the layout name, to make sure our change of page orientation would change. Is saved. Okay. So it's about 20 minutes, folks. We want to be respectful of your time. I'm done what I'm talking about here. I'm going to kind of keep an eye on questions here and see if there is something that I can answer here. Marla's been kind enough to log in and answer questions. If you need to leave, by all means, please, close out of the webinar and it should exit out of it automatically. But if you have questions, please stick around. I'm being asked, should you choose the page orientation first? Well, yeah, definitely. I would say probably that would be an important. That's going to change how the layout is constructed. So sure, I would probably recommend changing the page orientation, and before doing all of this work, just to make sure that everything is going to fit in okay for you. Sharon's asking, when is version 18 coming out? We don't have a firm release date, Sharon. We're going to be expecting that back from any time now, and we're going to be sending that out in at some point here. David's asking, any way to include the child's name with the birth date rather than just a list of birth dates? Yeah, David, that would be under, again, this down here under our ones with child section. So this says with child section. If we click on edit on that, I think one of these does have the birth date. Oh, this one has age on it. I'm pretty sure one of these other formats under with child section. Child section, cell phone and email. But sure, you would use the child section down there to edit that, to add that in, and you would add the birth date and information down under the child section down there. Yeah, it would be down here. Call us through support if you have questions about that. It would be down here. Debbie's asking, why does it show multiple listed persons with different birth dates? I think that's because I hadn't identified the fields properly, Debbie, because it was just we're running short on time and I was rushing through that, but we can have it report with each person's name correctly. Where is that option to change found? If you're asking about the page orientations, Mia, it's up here under again at the top right with the little wrench icon under our page layout or under our report designer. Yeah, Lou, I think that can occur. You just need to call us for help with that. I thought we could still do that. Yeah, call us on support about that. Victoria's asking, we were told you that not to install Windows 10 because there are some problems with Church Windows. Now, yeah, the version 18, Victoria, will be Windows 10 compatible. But in the meantime, if you have not installed Windows 10 and you have not released, and you're still working with, do not install Windows 10 until you receive the upgrade for Church Windows. We simply don't know how the behavior will be. It might work, it might not. Yes, Peggy, if you install the new templates, the ones that you've created will still be in the list, you bet. None of that will go away. Yep, all of your default layouts will still be there. We're just adding more that Church Windows is creating. Good question. Victoria, again, it is Windows 10 is not on our current list of supported operating systems. Some folks are using it fine with Windows 10 and others are not, and we don't know why, but what we do know is Windows is not testing SQL 2008 with on Windows 10. So that's why we have to remove it from our supported operating system list until version 18. Yes, version 18 will still be compatible with Windows 7 and earlier supported operating systems. Yes, so you will still be able to install version 18 on your Windows 7 or earlier operating system. You bet. Yeah, Marilyn, if you call us, please let us, call us if you have questions about it. We're happy to talk about it with you through a support call. Again, we're just trying to make some of the formatting of the directories that folks have been calling in support easier through some of these new templates. All right. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions coming in, folks. So I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar for everyone. Probably a recording of this webinar event will be available on our website at some point here in future. We hope to see you at another Church Windows User Group webinar, and we'll look forward to hearing from you through support if you do have any other direct questions, and we'll look forward to getting the email from you if you'd still like these in advance. All right, thank you all so much. We'll talk to you when you have more questions. Thank you. Bye-bye.